In Louisiana, a businessman who owned a photo booth is arrested on 52 counts of child rape. Wow. In Hawaii, a 1991 murder suspect commits suicide just hours after submitting his DNA. And in Idaho, prosecutors seek the death penalty after an escapee commits murder. These stories and more coming at you today, Wednesday, August 7th on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
Hump Day Wednesday.
Hump Day Wednesday, hot day.
It is indeed.
Hot, too hot.
Man, let me tell you something. We talked about the Olympics a couple times. I just want to say, I don't know if you saw or if you've ever seen them do the high jump in the Olympics.
I not this year, but I have seen them do it.
I watched the girls do the high jump. And they're like kangaroos, man. Yep. It's like they're on springs.
Yep, for real.
And they're jumping like 6'8" in the air over a bar.
It's crazy, right?
It's nuts. Talent, man.
My roommate in college, Sean Brady, whose dad was a federal judge here in Baton Rouge, who went to law school with my parents. They were friends, but he's dead now. But he ran track and field for Southeastern.
Yeah.
And he ended up coaching, being like a volunteer assistant coach or something on LSU women's track team. Then he went to Scotland, was head of their track team, the country, Scottish international track team. Then whatever, different colleges like Utah, and became head track coach for Southeastern. And now I think he's at Texas A&M or something. But he used to do all that shit. The pole vaulting, the fucking.
Oh, yeah.
I'd go watch some practice and be like,
I never even tried to do that. Look, I threw the shot and the discus.
Me too. That's what the big boys do.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I watched the shot put side of it this year. Those guys are giants, man. 6'7", 320, throwing it 20, 30 feet, this big, heavy
like
shot.
3 times further out there.
Oh, yeah, man.
So, but anyway, with that being said, let's get down to some true crime time for Wednesday.
We're going to start out in Walker, Louisiana.
Right down the street.
Right down the street.
5 miles.
And the Walker Police Department has arrested a man on multiple charges in connection with the alleged rape of a minor. According to police, Mark A. Roger, who is 66, is charged with 52 counts of first-degree rape of a victim under the age of 13, 8 counts of felony carnal knowledge of a juvenile, and 8 counts of felony crimes against nature. What is that?
Sodomy, probably.
Authorities say Rager was initially arrested on July 27th on 1 count of each of the 2 latter charges. But upon further investigations, authorities discovered Rager had been abusing the victim in 2022, and additional charges and counts were added. Rager was booked into the Livingston Parish Detention Center, and his bond has been set at $5,250,000, according to officials. And this dude, I actually looked up his Facebook, and he apparently owned a mobile photo booth for birthday parties and shit, really? Which is really even extra fucked up, in my opinion.
Always with kids, huh?
Yeah.
They changed it from ag rape to first-degree rape and all that, but I don't know if it's the new one has it, but the old ag rape, it was 12 and they moved it up to 13, but you used to get the death penalty for that. And the only in the history of the state of Louisiana, only one person got the death penalty. It was a guy out of Jefferson Parish, but they ended up turning it, commuting it to life. And I thought I was going to get the death penalty on David Constant's case, but they didn't go for it.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a perfect example of the castration law that they just passed. And,
absolutely.
And but that's life in prison, isn't it? If you get convicted of first-degree rape,
life in prison is saying. I mean, you might as well have been a serial killer.
Good.
And you would do a hard time. Right?
Yeah.
Well, the killers at least. Killer respect the killer. Nobody respects a fucking child molester, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, fuck him. Angola, he's a coming. It might take a while, but he's coming. Livingston Parish, I know y'all listening to. He's there. Give him some justice. All right, let's go out to Boise, Idaho. all right? And an Idaho prosecutor says he will seek the death penalty against an Idaho inmate charged with killing a man while he was on the lam during a 36-hour escape from prison. So Skylar Meade, 32, has already been sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty to the March escape from a Boise hospital where prison officials had taken him for treatment of his self-inflicted injuries. But the first-degree murder charge is in a different county, and Meade has not yet had the opportunity to enter a plea in that case. Now, Meade's defense attorney, Rick Cuddy, did not immediately respond to questions about this incident, but the Nez Perce County prosecutor, Justin Coleman, announced Friday he will seek the death penalty if Meade is convicted in the shooting death of James Money. After long and careful consideration, I have decided to seek the death penalty in this case, Coleman wrote in a press release. The senseless and random killing of Mr. Money and the facts surrounding what led to this death warrants this determination, the ultimate punishment. The Meade's alleged accomplice in the escape, Nicholas Umpenaar, 29, has also been indicted in connection with Monty's death and had not yet had the opportunity to enter a plea. But Umpenaar is also awaiting trial on charges including aggravated battery and aiding and abetting an escape after a judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. So this dude got out. Dude's what does. I don't know all the details on it, but it's probably pretty bad.
Yeah.
But they killed him, and, it's just like if you go to rob a bank and you leave and you don't kill anybody and you get in a high-speed pursuit and you kill someone on it, you can still be charged with the first degree.
Absolutely. You're
it's
culpable.
all part of that. You escape. You know what you're doing when you escape. You killed somebody. Fuck you.
Yeah, and how he escaped would be the...
Right, yeah, we talked about that a bunch from the hospital.
Yeah.
He cut him, I'm imagining he was cutting on
It's
himself.
common. It's one of the most, as you said, it's one of the most common. And transfers to like court.
Well, they know when
they're
they're inside the wire that it's going to be a whole lot harder to escape.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime you have a chance to get outside of the wire, that's your opportunity. It is human nature. I told you that in some South American countries, it's not even illegal to escape. They said it's human nature. They expect you to want to escape. So you escape and they catch you, they come back, you're going to get more time.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. So there you have it.
Well, we're going to tell you about, we talk a lot about DNA and how it's advanced catching these criminals in these cold cases.
Right.
That
I love it. Yeah.
They're catching them left and right now. As a matter of fact, Golden State Killer, which that guy went missing or they didn't know who it was forever, and then ended up catching him on DNA.
Familiar DNA,
yeah. Yep. So a 1991 murder suspect recently got approached to get his DNA. He was identified as a suspect in the 1991 murder of a 23-year-old woman, and he actually killed himself after he gave his swab. So that might give him a clue that he might have did it.
Yeah, the gig is up.
Yeah, so they swabbed this guy's cheek. This was in Hawaii. His name was Albert Lorio Jr. He was 57, and he was identified as a suspect in the murder of Dana Ireland, who had been kidnapped and raped in the Poho area of Hawaii on December 24th of 1991. She died a day later at a local hospital. The police said the case is still under investigation, but that Albert Lorio Jr. had been linked to the victim by DNA. However, his exact involvement is still under investigation, and his death was ruled a suicide by a forensic pathologist. DNA evidence had been recovered from a swab taken from Ireland's body from a sheet used to transport her to the hospital and from a T-shirt found at the scene, and was used by police to identify a suspect in her murder this month. At the time of the murder, there was no match for the evidence in any DNA database. Of course, in the 90s, they didn't really have much of a database. Right. In 2008, the DNA evidence was sent to the Forensic Analytical Crime Lab in California, and additional DNA evidence was collected from the T-shirt, which matched other samples from the scene. DNA experts are now able to take data from a DNA sample and build a family tree based on known DNA from relatives, what Woody just referred to as familiar DNA. Earlier this year, an FBI agent from the Honolulu field office contacted police investigators with the names of some people who could potentially match the DNA sample, including Lorio Jr. Lorio Jr. lived in the Kapoho area at the time of the murder, so police surveilled him, eventually collecting a utensil that he had been using and then threw away. The DNA collected from the utensil matched the DNA evidence connected at the crime. The evidence established a probable cause for the crime of rape. The statute of limitations for that crime had ran out, but investigators were able to continue to investigate the case as a murder, though they did not have enough evidence to establish probable cause and arrest Lorio. Investigators obtained a court order for a cheek swab from the suspect and asked him to come to the station and talk to investigators, but he was not taken into custody at that time. After the swab was taken, he asked to leave and was allowed to do so. The swab then matched DNA taken from the scene of the crime 33 years ago. The Fourth Amendment protects individuals from unwanted search and seizure, Hawaii Police Chief Benjamin Mazowski said in a statement. In order to obtain a search warrant, investigators would have to establish probable cause for the crime of murder, and explained specifically what evidence it was seeking. We remain focused on Dana Ireland, a young woman who was brutally murdered. There's a lot about this case that we do not know, and our investigation into this case continues to push forward. Our search for the truth is not over, but I guess they're going to try to basically rule everybody else except this guy, and
they'll continue doing it. And if they really suspect him, the guy smoked or whatever, or goes in a public place and drinks a Coke at McDonald's, whatever, and throws it away, they can take that.
Yeah,
there's no reasonable expectation of privacy on stuff like that. But he killed himself.
He killed himself, and that's kind of, to me, the fact that he killed himself is pretty. It may not be evidence of a crime, but why would you do that if you were innocent?
Well, I don't know. I don't think you would, but maybe some people would. I don't know. But while you're talking about DNA, this one's just a little bit long. Y'all bear with me on it, okay? So newly found DNA could shed light on Monster of Florence, serial killer case decades after mysterious murders of couples. Right? Yeah. So newly discovered DNA to shed light on one of Italy's most famous cold cases, finally revealing the Monster of Florence serial killer who murdered young couples in the 1970s and 80s. Now, more than half a century since the first shocking murders happened in Tuscany, but there's doubt over the murder or murderers continues to cloud the case, even though 3 different men have been convicted and sent to prison over the years for some of the more than 14 murders that happened. Yeah, so they're still in the question. Like I said, but some are still unaccounted for. Many questions remain. Now, a new scientific finding has given hope to some of the victims' families, even while experts advise caution. A prominent Italian doctor practicing oncology and hematology in the United States studied earlier analysis of DNA samples from a .22 caliber Winchester bullet found in 2015 in a cushion belonging to Nadine Moreau and Jean-Michel Cruchavelli, a French couple who were shot dead in their camping tent in 1985. That same DNA was taken from a similar bullets found after the September 1983 murder of 2 German university students, Horst William Mayer and Jens Ulrich, who investigators believe were probably mistaken for a couple, and the murder of Italians Pia Rotoni and Claudio Stefanacci in July 1984. So this one DNA bullet was found, the same DNA was found at all 3 murder scenes, and they found it in his couch, right?
Yeah.
One bullet, right? So, but now they, of course, like you just said, they got the capability to test it. Hey, y'all. Changing my wardrobe from summer to fall, it's never easy. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore, ensuring my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. And there's nothing easier than going to Quince and choosing these high-quality items, like cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and I love that. I got the stainless steel Link Apple Watch band for $59.90. It's heavy duty, it's awesome, and it's like $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And I also got a 100% organic cotton fisherman quarter zip up sweater. The color is alabaster. Man, I can't wait to wear that this fall. And Cindy got the Mongolian cashmere boat neck sweater in heather gray. And I'm telling you, these are classic pieces at a fraction of the price. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/RLRC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/RLRC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/RLRC. You'll thank me later. Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. The DNA could prove to be very important. Danielle Piccone, a lawyer who chaired an inquiry commission into an unsolved aspect of the case that ended in 2022, told the news. But the monster or Monsters of Florence terrorized the capital of Tuscany and its countryside between 1974 and 1985 by murdering 14 people, including 6 couples, most of whom were shot in their cars during or immediately following sexual intercourse. So they hid in the LSU Lakes where my parents, I would come down there at nighttime and all those cars, we park. I'm like, what are all those cars doing there? They're watching the submarine races.
Yeah, the submarine races. That's funny.
Italy was, but nothing funny about this. But Italy was then going through a bloody period of political violence dubbed the Years of Lead, in which the Red Brigades and armed groups of extreme right together and the mafia violence caused thousands of deaths. Now, the murder weapon in the cold case, a Beretta semi-automatic pistol, has never been found, and often the assassin stabbed his victims after death, committing atrocious sexual mutilations on the corpses of the young women, right? So the case was hindered by competition between 2 investigating authorities, the regular police and then the Carabinieri force, as well as between prosecutors and judges. And investigators followed multiple leads from a Sardinian vendetta to the Italian secret services, from a sect to conspiracy noodles. So they had it all going on, looking at everything. But finally, a poor farmer portrayed as a violent and sex-obsessed by prosecutors. His name was Pietro Paciani, who was already convicted of homicide in 1951 and imprisoned in 1987 for raping his two daughters. He was sentenced to life in 1994 for at least some of these murders, right? Paciani, who called himself innocent as Christ on the cross, was acquitted on appeal 2 years later. But he was awaiting retrial when he died in 1998 of a heart attack at the age of 73. And two of his alleged accomplices, Mario Benini and Giancarlo Latti, were also found guilty and sent behind bars, and both have since died. Now, in 2007, an FBI profile of the serial killer said the murderer acted alone. Well, it just goes on and on, y'all, but it's kind of crazy. They said, we know, according to the medical examiner's report, that, talking about one of the victims, she could have fought with the assassin. It's not impossible to imagine that there remain biological traces on her fingernails. So lawyers for the civil parties in the case are now asking for the DNA to be identified by Iovini to be compared, but with whose? Vera Adrini, a lawyer for the families of the French victims, wants the body of Italian victim Stefanani Patini who was murdered in 1974, with her boyfriend Pasquale Giannacore to be exhumed. We know, according to the medical examiner's report, that she could have fought with the assassin, and it's not impossible to imagine that there remain biological traces on her fingernails. Under the same logic, DNA could also be taken from Giannacore's clothing. And according to Iovani, the new DNA does not match that of the victims, nor with anyone convicted over the decades. And for Robert Taddeo, a former lawyer and author of Compendium on the Monster of Florence, the new DNA could be due to contamination by investigators, technicians, or forensic scientists who worked the case. And he recommends the greatest caution, warning against falling into judicial relativism. Anyway, Paciana did not die innocent in the eyes of the Italian law. He died before his new trial. That's the guy I told you about, right? In prison. So first murder, sometimes attributed to the elusive killer or killers, dates back to 1968, when a woman and her lover were murdered during their clandestine lovemaking in a car. The deceived husband was convicted, right? So he found him, I guess. And years later, investigators discovered that the murder weapon was the famous Beretta from the Monster of Florence killings. Wow. So, and he ends up dying in prison, and they're pretty sure it's him because of DNA.
Right.
I mean, the same bullet was found in all these bodies, and it's his gun.
Yeah.
And but he died in prison for awaiting retrial on one of the murders.
So this was the same exact bullet?
So no, it's the same. But they could tell when
from the striations,
and it's the same calorie ammunition. Okay. But his DNA was on the bullet.
Yeah.
So when you load the bullet.
Yeah.
I don't
touch DNA.
I don't think that you're gonna be able to dig up bodies after all these years and find something on their fingernails. Your fingernails. There's some myth. People say your hair and your fingernails continue to grow when you bury, but it's not true. It's just your skin shrinks, so it makes them look longer.
Oh, interesting.
So it may be there, but I doubt it. I don't know.
And yeah,
DNA
in these days, I would think they would cut the nails.
We always bag the hands on the outside scene just in case there was any DNA. You don't know if they scratched somebody or whatever, or gunshot residue.
Right.
So we always brown paper bags, little cheap paper bags, and duct tape the hands before you put them in the body bag.
Okay.
That way, if anything came out inside the body bag, you take the body out. You have to look to identify the lock and all that shit at the autopsy place.
Yeah.
Roy and the two Chris's can tell you about this.
Yeah.
And when they cut open the lock, they take the body out. One of the things they do is they shake out the body bag for any kind of hairs or anything that may have fallen off the body.
Right. Interesting.
And then do the autopsy. DNA.
Beep, beep. We interrupt this episode of Real Life, Real Crime Daily to bring you some breaking news. So look, we pre-record our episodes. And sometimes news comes out that just has to be covered, and there's no way that it can wait until the next time we record. And as soon as Woody left yesterday after recording, there was a couple of breaking news articles that when I saw them, I thought this just has to be covered. I think y'all will really get some interesting information out of this first one. And we're going all the way to France, and a French pole vaulter named Anthony Amirati, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, and he has been eliminated, sadly, from the 2024 Olympics after his crotch got caught in the crossbar at a qualifying event and sent him crashing to the ground. That's right. Now, the video has gone viral, and it's not, well, it may be what you would think. It is actually his penis that hits the crossbar, not his crotch like he racked himself as he was going over the bar. Like he went over the bar and his penis hit the crossbar, and you can clearly see it. It has went viral. So I'll continue with the article. It says that the men's qualifying event for the Paris Olympics, the 21-year-old missed his target height and got his crotch caught on the crossbar, sending it crashing to the mat. Amirati, who reacted by holding the holding the sides of his head upon his own landing, ultimately placed 15th in the contest. It's a big disappointment. The first-time Olympian said in a statement, the conditions were good. It's the first time I've started a competition without any stress. Sorry. As I was a total outsider, I only had one goal to play with the audience, and I was almost there. Despite the unfortunate nature of the incident, Anthony Amirati quickly became a viral sensation on social media, of course. Users across various platforms shared their reactions, mixing humor with encouragement. One user on X wrote, I mean, if you're trying to be famous for losing the pole vault, this is the way to do it. Oh, I concur. Another one added, winning isn't everything. He's going to stroll out of the Olympics with more ladies' phone numbers than medals. So there you have it. I absolutely had to report this when I saw it shortly after Woody left today. And then there was one more that I did see also shortly after Woody left that I wanted to bring to you. And it is a pretty astonishing circumstance here. Hurricane Debby brought more than powerful winds and storm surge to Florida. Packages of cocaine worth more than $1 million also made landfall, officials say, marking the latest in a string of recent discoveries of drugs along the Florida shores. Debby, which slammed into the state as a Category 1 hurricane but has since been downgraded to a tropical storm, washed the drugs ashore in the Florida Keys. This from U.S. Border Patrol Acting Chief Agent Samuel Briggs II. Hurricane Debby blew 25 packages of cocaine onto the beach, totaling 70 pounds in the Florida Keys, and he actually posted 2 images of those packages. Briggs said the trove of drugs, which has a street value of more than $1 million, was found by a Good Samaritan who contacted the authorities. I'd say he was a good Samaritan. Cocaine has been found on numerous occasions on and near the shores of Florida, which is not far from the Caribbean transit hub for drugs being trafficked from South America to the U.S. and Europe. In June, recreational boaters off the coast of the Florida Keys found 65 pounds of cocaine floating in the ocean. And earlier that month, divers found 25 kilos of cocaine about 100 feet underwater off Key West. The very next day, the same amount of suspected cocaine was found washed up on Dolphin Island, Alabama. And we reported on the Dauphin Island situation. So there you have it. Hurricanes bringing more than wind and rain, also bringing a little bit of snow. And that's been a little bit of breaking news for you right here on the Real Life Real Crime Daily.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of an LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday host and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
All right, we're going to go to East Baton Rouge Parish, and this is just a short but sweet one. Well, not sweet, but very short. Infuriating nonetheless. Deputies are investigating after an infant was forgotten in the back seat of a car and died on Tuesday afternoon. The East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said the parent left their work Tuesday morning to bring the 6-month-old child to daycare before work. Deputies said the parent continued on to work and did not realize until going to pick the baby up from daycare in the evening that the child had been in the car all day. The infant was found around 5:45 p.m. in the back seat of the car along East Tom Stokes Court, and there's not a whole lot more information out there. Man, that's about as awful as it gets. And it was, 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, it'd be 180 in a car or more. They've actually done the studies. I only saw one on Courtney Coco's car that GM did on the Pontiacs, what the temperature would be inside the regular car, not the trunk.
Yeah.
Where she got so badly decomposed because of the heat. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like 140 something degrees on an 80 degree day or 90 degree day.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've done
it's like being in an attic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't. What are you going to do? I don't know.
And it sounds like this parent didn't even realize, that actually left to go pick the child up from daycare after work, thinking that the baby had been dropped off. And it's in the back seat, the baby.
Or I don't know what you do. I mean, I know you're a dad and I'm a dad. About to be a granddad. I don't know what you can do with that. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you about another dude that shouldn't have been a dad. He's a piece of shit. In Batavia, Ohio, a man has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in the shooting deaths of his 3 young sons at their Ohio home last year. I'm sure we reported on this, but this is an update. A Clearmont County judge sentenced Chad Doberman, 33, on Friday to 3 consecutive life terms after he pleaded guilty to aggravated murder charges. He was also sentenced to another 16 years on 2 felonious assault charges for injuring his former wife and his stepdaughter. And a prosecutor, Mark Tucolvi, had originally vowed to seek the death penalty for the murders of Clayton Dorman, 7, Hunter Dorman, 4, and Chase Dorman, 3. And that was in the Monroe Township, about 75 miles west of Columbus, Ohio. But on Friday, he said that the trauma that the surviving family members experienced that day and continue to experience on a daily basis, basically he didn't want to continue to put them through it. He said, my job as I saw it this week was to relieve them of that additional agony. And prosecutors earlier said that Dorman, who was taken into custody after he was found sitting on a stoop at the home, admitted to having planned the killings and chased down one of the boys in the field after he tried to run free. And the defense attorneys, like they always do, try to say he was struggling with mental illness, right? But Laura Dorman, the children's mother and ex-wife of the defendant, cried as the prosecutor read a statement in court from her saying her life had been ripped away from me and destroyed. I would do anything to push them on the swing, cover them up one more time, and hear their little ways of saying, I love you. She said, I have anger, frustration, and so much sadness. Grief will never go away because it's all the love that is left with no place to go. And then another statement issued through prosecutors after the sentencing, she said that she was in full agreement with the resolution of the case. No punishment will ever bring my boys back, she wrote. Having a guarantee that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars is what is best for my family. Now, the prosecutor said he plans to reveal more details about the case at a news conference, and Laura Dorman thanked the prosecutors and the first responders and asked for privacy, saying that she and her family grieve every day for the boys. But she also asked the people to remember the children as they were before the events of that day.
Wow.
What he chased for him, 7, 4, and 2 or 3, whatever. Chased the one out into the field and kill him. I don't know, Jim Chapman.
Well, we're going to try to lighten it up a little bit. And, policing has certainly gotten easier over the years. Not that it's easy by any means, but DNA and all that sort of stuff helps. All the cameras they have now and all that stuff sure helps police officers track down criminals. But sometimes the criminals themselves make it even easier. And for this segment, it's going to be a WTF. And that's what I said when I read this one. Now, if you would prefer the police not find your bag of drugs, perhaps consider placing the illegal narcotics into something other than a container marked bag of drugs. I shit you not.
Prisons are full of dummies.
Cops report that Lauren Riley was a passenger in a car that was pulled over Saturday morning after the driver was spotted without a seatbelt. During that traffic stop, officers noticed Riley moving around items on the vehicle's floorboard. When police peered into the auto, they spotted drug paraphernalia, which prompted a probable cause examination. So if you roll down your window and they smell weed, for example, and you're in a state where weed's illegal, they can then search whether you want them to or not.
That's correct.
So that prompted a probable cause examination of the vehicle and its contents, and that resulted search, according to police, turned up a bag inside Riley's purse labeled bag of drugs. No. Inside the bag, cops said, was a needle, straws, a metal spoon, 4 glass pipes, and plastic baggies with a white colored residue.
Nice.
A bag inside the drugs bag contained crack cocaine, powdered cocaine, crystal meth, Xanax, and other narcotics. The discovery of the bag of drugs resulted in Riley's arrest on a variety of felony charges and, of course, a few misdemeanors, and she is being held in a Florida county lockup. Her quote-unquote bag of drugs is being held in a police evidence locker.
That's so funny, bro. Yeah.
Bag of drugs.
Bag of drugs. And she been it.
Yeah.
Oh, she had 3 or 4 different types.
In case she couldn't remember what that bag was.
So
That's the bag of drugs.
It's got this good shit in it.
Yeah. I don't want to forget what is in this bag.
I wonder how much fentanyl was in that bag. That's crazy.
Bag of drugs.
You know,
Make them all types.
You might find crack and a Xanax or meth and, a Xanax or something like that. But finding crack and meth and all that uppers together, getting fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
The bag of drugs.
Bag of drugs. She going to the Olympic Village probably.
Yeah. Just on that hooking up in the Olympic Village.
Now they done lifted the law.
Now, an English professor in Colorado was arrested on Tuesday on suspicion of murder after police found his wife bleeding and injured. His wife was bleeding and injured, and his infant daughter was dead. Right? And authorities said Regis University professor Nicholas Michaelbus, 44, called first responders on Monday to report that he had found his wife on the floor inside their home and that their infant daughter was not breathing. The Denver Post reported Tuesday that Michaelbus told police he had woken up from a nap to find his wife, 44-year-old Saran Kim, on the ground bleeding, and that he believed she must have fallen from a stepladder in the bedroom. Who the fuck gets on the stepladder in the bedroom while you're taking a nap? Officers who arrived at the scene did not see evidence of that. Kim had multiple blunt force injuries to her head and face, not consistent with the fall, though the medical examiner has not released her official cause of death. Their daughter was found in a bedroom without visible injuries, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives observed bruising and blood on Michaelbus's knuckles, along with scratch marks on his neck and chest. And Michaelbus told police that the bruising was skin discoloration and that his wife sometimes scratched his body because of his psoriasis. Right. This motherfucker's got some excuses.
His wife scratched his body because of it?
Well, first of all, she fell off a stepladder while he was taking a nap in their bedroom.
Yeah.
And whatever. So
sounds like some bullshit.
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. Denver Deputy District Attorney Anthony Santos told the judge at Michaelbus' bond hearing that the police had also found bloody gloves in the dryer and on the dryer. And the child that died Monday was the second to die in Michaelbus' custody, according to the Gazette, the newspaper. But prosecutors had told him that at the bond hearing. Now, Michaelbus' first child died in 2021 after suffering skull fractures, but no charges were filed. I guess they thought, I bet they're going back and look at it now. They thought, well, he must have said, they fell or whatever. An attorney for Michaelbus didn't respond naturally. Regis University says that the news of Michaelbus's arrest was profoundly distressing for the entire community, whatever. But our thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected by this situation, especially victims' families and all the members of our community. You know what? And Jim Chapman, I'm working on a case right now that this girl, it's kind of the same situation, and he got there and he tried to say she fell. And it's obvious. The shotgun blast to the head. But we'll get into that later on. But people, I guess they panic and they don't think. I left bloody gloves on the dryer. One in the dryer, one on top.
Well, you remember
my baby's dead.
Your business forgot a whole head in a bucket.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot his head.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you for listening, and liking, and tuning in, and sharing, and all that good podcaster shit.
Yes, thank you very much. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Everton,
your host of Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.